You're tuned in to Feed News every day, your daily front row seat to the world's most critical headlines. I'm your host, and today we dive into a major escalation in the Iran-Israel conflict, where U.S. President Donald Trump just made a historic and deeply controversial comparison between the latest U.S. strikes and the atomic bombings of World War II. Trump compares U.S. strike on Iran to Hiroshima bombing. In one of the most provocative statements of his presidency, U.S. President Donald Trump has likened the recent U.S. military strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities to the devastating atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. Speaking at the NATO summit earlier today, Trump declared the operation a complete success, claiming that the U.S. attack obliterated Tehran's nuclear program and set it back decades. He went on to say, "That hit ended the war. I don't want to use an example of Hiroshima. I don't want to use an example of Nagasaki, but that was essentially the same thing. That ended that war. This ended that with the war." The comparison sent shockwaves through diplomatic and defense circles. Hiroshima and Nagasaki remain among the deadliest attacks in human history, killing between 150,000 and 246,000 people, most of them civilians. Trump's remarks suggest that the recent U.S. strikes were intended not just as a tactical maneuver, but as a decisive war-ending blow. However, a leaked preliminary intelligence report paints a very different picture. According to sources close to the Pentagon, the U.S. airstrikes over the weekend targeted 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. But early intelligence assessments describe the outcome as inconclusive, indicating that while damage was inflicted, Iran's core nuclear capabilities may still be intact. When asked about these findings, Trump dismissed them, saying the intelligence was very inconclusive, before doubling down on his original claim that the U.S. had destroyed all nuclear facilities and capability. Later in the day, an unnamed Iranian official gave a rare admission, confirming that the facilities were badly damaged. However, he stopped short of admitting total destruction, leading experts to believe that Iran may still retain components of its nuclear infrastructure. In a separate social media post, Trump claimed personal credit for de-escalating the broader conflict. "It was my great honor to destroy all nuclear facilities and capability, and then stop the war." This statement came as a fragile ceasefire between Iran and Israel appeared to be holding, at least for now, following days of cross-border missile attacks, drone strikes, and mounting casualties. But analysts are warning against premature celebration. The comparison to Hiroshima, they argue, may inflame tensions rather than resolve them, especially given the symbolic and historical weight such a reference carries in international diplomacy. Global leaders have responded cautiously. NATO allies, attending the summit in Brussels, reportedly distanced themselves from Trump's comments. A senior European diplomat said, "We support de-escalation, not devastation." Comparing recent strikes to Hiroshima sends the wrong message to allies, adversaries, and civilians alike. Meanwhile, in Tehran, massive anti-American protests have broken out. Crowds gathered outside embassies and in major squares, condemning what they're calling nuclear terrorism. Iran's supreme leader has yet to respond directly, but military spokesmen have warned that any further aggression will not go unanswered. The truth about the actual extent of the destruction at Iran's nuclear sites may take time to emerge. Independent verification is difficult given the ongoing conflict and Iran's tight control over its facilities. But one thing is clear: President Trump is framing this strike as a defining moment in his foreign policy legacy. Whether that's an act of peace or provocation remains to be seen. This has been Feed News Every Day. For more breaking updates and in-depth analysis on the Iran-Israel conflict and other global stories, stay tuned, follow, and share. We'll be here, keeping you informed every day.